But this is the issue. But however, what bothered me about this when I discovered this was such a power of being able to shape all life in a certain way, to shape a direction, to become like the ultimate pedagogue, really. They say that, Buddha said that the name that he liked best for himself, the title he liked best for himself, was Shasta, the word Shasta. Shasta means teacher. More than Buddha, more than many things, it was Deva Manushyanam Shasta, which means the teacher of humans and gods. And of course it teaches all animals and everything, but the humans and gods are the ones who talk. So in that sense, teacher. But that's his favorite name, because since his vision of his attainment of his own freedom came through his eureka understanding of the nature of reality, complete understanding of all reality. And with him having understood that, and within that understanding of reality, he understood that he had been a human being who hadn't understood it. And he had been many other beings who hadn't understood that. But that he was capable of that understanding. And thereby he realized that all other beings were capable of that understanding, sooner or later. And thereby he became dedicated to helping them achieve that understanding. Right? And he didn't say they could do it by just believing. So that's why I always say Buddhism is not really this religion as we define them today, because faith, although you can have Buddhist faith, there is faith as a factor that's helpful in Buddhism if it's reasonable faith. But you can't get real freedom through faith. You can only get oriented toward freedom through faith. In order to gain real freedom, you have to understand. So you have to know the nature of the world. So when you perceive the nature of life to be that life achieves its goal whenever it gets enough knowledge to know that it can have a goal of happiness, who really has the goal of perfect happiness in life? May I ask you this? I don't think anybody does. We want to be happy just today and tomorrow and avoid this and that and the other and have this pill and not have that problem and escape from this boss and that person. We don't think we can be really happy. We just hope to die painlessly later and have some nice moments in between. No, we do. I want to be perfectly happy. If your kid came home and said, "Oh, Mom, I want to be perfectly happy." Oh, come on, dear. There's no drug like that. You have to be resigned to a little something. Don't get overexcited. You'll get too depressed when you see it's impossible. And so we don't have that aspiration for ourselves or anybody. So naturally, we wouldn't choose that as our purpose in life. Perfect happiness for ourselves, and not only that, but perfect happiness for every living being. But that's what the Buddha chose that's through his understanding. And conceiving the unexcelled perfect spirit for unexcelled perfect enlightenment is developing the evolutionary will, the choosing as a purpose, saying the meaning of my lives in my infinite future lives is going to be becoming perfectly happy permanently and enfolding all beings in that perfect happiness. That's conceiving. That makes you, when you do really conceive that, and you really make it like a dedication, you become devoted to it, meaning you make it your vow, then you are a bodhisattva. Even you're still a dummy. There are dummy bodhisattvas. The bodhisattva doesn't just mean necessarily someone who flies or has wings or some kind of person like that. Although these are a bunch of great Buddhas and bodhisattvas here behind me. But it doesn't mean that. It means having the will to do that. There are those at advanced stage, yes, of course. But there are also beginner bodhisattvas. So that's the first chapter of the Vimalakirti, where the Buddha sort of sets the stage to try to understand this paradox between, in a way, ordinary reality and extraordinary reality. Ordinary relative reality and extraordinary relative reality. It doesn't mean ultimate reality. Because in a way, even the Buddha-verse nature of the relative world is only still the relative world. The ultimate nature of the world is freedom, voidness, absolute freedom, which is not either happy or sad or sort of beyond all of that. And yet it makes possible perfect happiness in the relative world. And since it is non-dual with the relative world, if that's lucky, so even the nature of the relative world is happiness. But in the relative world, the happiness is part of change, includes change and transformation. So that's why the Buddha mind The Buddhahood is in a way not understandable by normal dualistic thinking completely, although critically so it's anything that isn't it can be understood. But in a way, ultimately, it cannot be grasped in a way by that. But you can come to the doorway of it. Because how can you be sort of alive and dead at the same time? How can you be, completely non-existent and existent at the same time? But enlightenment is like that. It's complete freedom and complete engagement at the same time. They say. Complete freedom is your body, and then that body is also free of being free. So therefore it vests itself in all entwinements. Something like that. But the first chapter sets it up, and it sets up this problem. Well, if Buddha can make it perfect, why does he make it more perfect? For me, we naturally think. Why are we having, Darfur? Why are we having Iraq? Why are we having the leaders that we do? Why are the resources of the world wasted in violence and militarism the way they are? Why are we polluting with our greed and ruining the climate where we're all going to perish in the future, where the life will become unlivable on the planet? If it's so perfect, why is it going like that? This is almost the equivalent of what the problem monotheists have of the theodicy. How can you explain imperfection and evil if there is an omnipotent power that is perfect? And that's called theodicy in relation to the monotheistic theory. And then in the Buddha theory, I call it the Buddhadicy. How can you explain the relative imperfection even of our situation if there are beings, infinite numbers of them, who can shape things to be perfect for us, to learn why isn't the world one giant Dharma center? With everyone meditating all the time, why are they learning how to fight and kill? But luckily for Buddhism as a philosophy, the key is denying the omnipotence of the Buddha and according everyone their own power over their own situation, their own responsibility for their own situation, and allowing enlightened beings a very great power to shape and help beings, but no omnipotence. No one, because no one can be just snatched into enlightenment by another.